All right, 100 yards with this Ruger Mark IV. Okay, we're shooting between those two trees over there. There's about a 2 foot wide gap. Two, three, 4. Okay, 4 out of 10 hits at 4 out of 10 hits at 100 yards. Okay, so first of all, I don't know how people shoot with these freaking stupid earplugs on, because even the 22, even the 22 is freaking loud with these dumb things. Okay, so I don't know how people shoot with these things when they're using, like, larger calibers. But the reason why I'm using these today is because I don't have my cap with me, and this is the only hat. It's a little chilly, so I need to cover my head. And the earmuffs were like going like that, so that's why I'm using this. Freaking thing's loud still. Okay, but the thing I wanted to talk about today. So what do we say? We got 4 out of 10 hits. I've gone as high, I think, as like 7 or 8 out of 10 hits at 100 yards. I mean, it is a little windy today. I'm not having my best day, but whatever. But the bottom line is that I can definitely get more hits more often at 100 yards, like by a very wide margin, with 22 long rifle versus any other, like, pistol caliber usually. Okay, so I pulled out this Glock, like all factory Glock. I didn't want to, use one of my builds, because you might say, hey, well, the guns that you build are shit. Okay, we're gonna talk about this Glock 17 and why the 22 is a lot more accurate out of the pistol. Okay, because this thing, when I shoot it out of a rifle, right, usually 22 rifle, like even in the Ruger 1022, I mean, the best I can usually get is maybe 3 inches at 100 yards out of a rifle. Okay, versus, let's say, if I'm shooting with 5.56, I can get 1-inch groups. I can even get half them. Forget about the match. I can get 1-inch groups with, let's say, 5.56 versus 2.23. Okay, so the 22 out of a rifle is not really accurate. Okay, it's not that it's not accurate. It's not as accurate as, let's say, a typical rifle round. However, when we start comparing 22 long rifle out of a pistol and compare it to another pistol, this becomes a lot more accurate. Okay, so why is the reason? And a lot of times people say, well, it's because of less recoil. If I can go as slow as you want, I'm still gonna get, like, if I'm taking like all the time in the world between my shots, I'm still gonna get way more hits with the 22 pistol versus 22 22 pistol versus, let's say, any other pistol, full-size pistol, 9mm, 40, 45, whatever. The reason is because of the fixed barrel. Okay, your 22 pistols typically have a fixed barrel, and basically your sights, whether you're using iron sights or using an optic, it's basically connected to the barrel. Okay, so with most other handguns, right, the sights are on the slide. Okay, they're not on the barrel, right? And what happens is, as this goes back and forth, right, you'll notice that the barrel basically points up. Okay, so now the up pointing part is not the problem, right? Because when it closes, it all comes in line. But let me take this Glock apart for a second. And I want to show you guys something that you can test out on your own gun. Once I take this apart, right, and so the barrel is closed. You guys feel that? That's the wiggle room, right? The barrel has wiggle room in the slide. Okay. All right. If you take this, right, close it, go back and forth. You can go back and forth. I can go front and back, or side to side. Okay, up and down, side to side. There's going to be that clicking, and that's your barrel moving around inside the slide. Okay, so because your barrel has to move as you shoot, there has to be some space. So like with a competition gun, right? Those tolerances are going to be like really tight, so that if you try to move it, it's like you're probably not going to hear the clicking that you just heard. However, if the gun gets a little bit dirty or whatever, the gun will jam up because there's not enough space in there for the for debris to like move out of the way. So with most of your like reliable self-defense guns, there's going to be tolerances there, right? There's going to be a little bit of movement between the barrel and your slide, so that the gun doesn't jam. Now, Glock is particularly generous with those tolerances, right? And that's the reason why Glocks are known to be so reliable. In fact, from what I've been told, the chamber, the chamber is actually a little bit wider than what is typically the standard. Okay, they made the I think they call it the throat. It's called the throat, is actually a little bit bigger, and that's one of the reasons why people recommend that you do not reload 9mm or do not reload cases that have been shot out of Glock guns, because the throat is a little bit wider than other 9mm guns or other pistols in general, so that the case actually stretches out a little bit more. Okay, so the sloppy tolerances actually make these handguns more reliable. Okay, so that has to be the case with this tilt barrel design, originally designed by Browning, right? And that's the reason why if you shoot a 22 long rifle, right, out of, let's say, any 22 rifle, and compare it to, let's say, any other rifle, you'll see that it's a lot less accurate. But if you're comparing a pistol, 22 pistol, to any other handgun, you'll see that it is more accurate because of that barrel. Now, one of the things that people will sometimes ask me is like, okay, when you just let's say we're looking at 22 rifle, 22 long rifle being shot out of a rifle, why is it that this is so much less accurate? Let's say 3 inches versus like 1 inch. If you're shooting it out of a 5.56 or 2.23 out of a rifle. Well, the main reason, right? The main reason is this takes so little gunpowder, right? That what happens is when they're filling in these cases, the machine that's dropping them, right, is never going to be perfect, right? So if it's off by, let's say, just a tiny little bit, that tiny little bit is a huge percentage, right? And you get these huge variances in velocity with the 22 versus when they're loading, let's say, like 5.56, that same variance is not that big of a deal in a 5.56, right? Now, let's say, and the same reason why there's a limit to, let's say you're shooting 9, because let's say I shoot 9mm out of a 9mm AR, right? So now I'm shooting a 9mm out of a fixed barrel. So I think that the best I ever got out of that was about 3 inches. So again, also with 9mm, it doesn't take that much gunpowder. So if the machine that drops the gunpowder is just a tiny little bit off, it's a big percentage, right, compared to 5.56 and larger calibers, where that tiny little difference is not that big of a deal. And then when you get into like full-size rifles, right, like a 308 or something, which takes even more gunpowder, well, again, that same variance, right, whatever number of grains is off, right, whatever the limitations are of the machines, is even less of a big deal. So the more gunpowder the cartridge takes, the less a small, difference in what the machine is dropping makes a difference. Okay, so anyway, a couple of things I want to share with you guys today. I pulled out the 22s, I was shooting, and said, hey, I shot up close, and hey, let's go out to 100 yards. I haven't done that in a while. Let's see how many hits I got out there. So I think you guys saw me do 4 out of 5. I think I went as high as like 6 out of 10 today. Sorry, I got 4 out of 10 with you guys watching, and I went as high as, I think, 6 out of 10 off camera. And the reason is because this is a fixed barrel that barrel is not moving every time the gun goes bang, versus most of your tilt barrel pistols, every time you shoot, the barrel moves. And it's never going to land in exactly the same spot, you know, for all your rounds, okay? But, you know, if you're shooting 10 rounds out of it or 17, it's never going to be in that same exact spot. So drop some comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Talk to you all soon.